If someone grew up with at least one parent who was unable to truly see them, they're likely to have a strong need to be seen now that they are an adult. In addition to this need, though, they can also have a fear of being seen. When it comes to their need to be seen, this will relate to their need to have their personal reality acknowledged. This will include their needs, feelings, and thoughts, and for them to be physically seen. What this illustrates is that they, like everyone else, have their own experience on this planet. They are then not merely an extension of another person. Both their body and their inner world are separate from others. Of course, they will live on the same planet as everyone else, and will be both influenced and have a number of things in common with them. But although they will be a separate being, this won't have been something that at least one of their parents will have been able to accept. To this parent, assuming that it was only one parent, they will have been a part of them that wasn't connected to their body. This would have meant that their needs, feelings, and thoughts would have seldom even have been acknowledged, let alone dismissed. Naturally, this would have caused them to feel as though they didn't exist, and that their needs, feelings, and thoughts were not important. Their true self is likely to have gone into hiding, with them being forced to create a disconnected false self. So, regardless of if their basic needs were met, such as their need for food, clothing, and somewhere to live, they would have been deprived of the nutrients that they needed to develop a strong sense of self. Ultimately, they were not born with a strong sense of self. This is something that needed to be developed. Yet, as this is something that could only be developed through receiving the right nutrients, they ended up staying in an underdeveloped state. Their false self would have allowed them to survive, but it would have involved them playing a role or a number of roles that probably had very little to do with who they were. Also, along with losing touch with their true self, they are likely to have experienced a lot of pain during this stage of their life. They are likely to have experienced a lot of anger, rage, and hate, and often felt hopeless, helpless, and worthless. Most likely, the only thing they would have been able to do with this pain was to lose touch with it, as they would not have been able to change what was going on. Their brain would have automatically repressed this pain in order to allow them to keep it together and function. Many, many years will have passed since this stage of their life, but this need, along with others, won't have disappeared. This is then why they will continue to have such a strong need to be seen. As to why they would also fear being seen, this is likely to be the result of what took place when they were given attention. When they were given attention, this may have been a time when they were often criticized, humiliated, and/or physically harmed. The part of them that has a strong need to be seen is then going to be at odds with the part of them that fears being seen. Until this inner conflict starts to be resolved, it is going to be a challenge for them to meet their need to be seen. Now, if they were to become aware of some of the things that took place during their early years, they could have a strong need to reach out to the parent who was unable to truly see them. They could hope that if they do this and talk about what happened, this parent will acknowledge what they went through. If they were to do this, they may find that this does take place, and that what they went through is acknowledged. This parent could be deeply sorry and only too happy to play a role in what will allow them to heal their wounds. This is then going to be a time when they will feel seen and heard by the parent who was unable to do this all those years ago. Then again, they could talk about their early experiences, and this parent could simply dismiss what they say. In this case, what they hope for won't take place, and they could feel deeply hurt. Nonetheless, this doesn't mean that they will just accept this and move on. They could continue to try to be seen and heard by them. This could be something that will go on for weeks, months, and even years. At this point, it will be clear that they are once again looking for someone to provide them with something that they are unable to give them. As they were egocentric during their early years, they would have personalized what took place. It was then not that this parent simply couldn't see them. It was that there was something inherently wrong with them. Their needs and feelings were bad, and they didn't deserve to be seen and heard. Due to the meaning that was made by their underdeveloped brain all those years ago, the child parts inside them will believe that if they keep trying and do the right things, they will finally be seen and heard. But as this parent couldn't see them then, and is unable to see them now, as a result of their own issues, it won't matter how hard they try or what they do. Ultimately, the child parts inside them will be causing them to engage in repetition compulsion. In other words, these parts will cause them to experience situations with both their parent and perhaps others, where they experience a very similar scenario in the hope that this time it will be different. But as this parent and others won't be able to provide them with what they need, the same outcome will be experienced, and they will feel deeply hurt once more. For them to let go of this compulsion to be seen and heard by their parent and others, they will need to face the pain along with their unmet developmental needs and work through it. So perhaps you are in a position where you're trying to get your parent or both of your parents to finally see you and to acknowledge you as an individual, to see that you have your own reality and you are not purely an extension of them. So they would not have been able to see you when you were younger, and if you're in this situation now, then they will be unable to see you now. And as I've said, you may have also been doing this for weeks, months, or even years, and so it will be clear to at least part of you, although your emotional self won't want to accept this, that they are unable to truly see you. They couldn't see you then, and they can't see you now. It's not because they don't want to, necessarily. It is most likely because they simply cannot see you due to their own issues, their own wounds, and the state of their own being at this point in time. They simply can't do it. And so in order for you to liberate yourself, to step out of the prison that you were in as a child and continue to inhabit as an adult, as I've said, you will need to face the pain that you experienced and the unmet developmental needs that go with the pain, and to work through it. And gradually over time you'll need to be seen by one person or two people or more who can't see you will gradually subside, and then you will finally be able to be seen by people who can see you, and that will be normal, because that is what you deserve. You didn't deserve to be ignored, overlooked. You deserve to be seen, and now the power is in your hands to change your life. So do what you need to do to gradually change your life. If you would like to find out more about the services that I offer, please go to www.oliverjrcooper.co.uk or email me at info@oliverjrcooper.co.uk, and I'm looking forward to assisting you on your journey.